Welcome once more to the great center of racing, the World Center of Speed, Daytona International Speedway. For the start of the 2005 Winstel Cup Series season, it's the Daytona 500. 56 drivers trying to become one of 43 cars to make the field and go on to win here at the World Center of Speed. Daytona International Speedway opened in 1959 and has been a staple of Americana ever since. So many drivers, so many legends have won at this storied 2.5 mile facility. It's been exciting in the Winstel side of things. We raced here back in January for the Winstel 400. Different machines, different equipment, a lot of different faces in that event. Now it's time for the Cup Series turn. Let's take a shot here at an older surface, a bumpier surface, a way hotter surface. Track temperatures close to 150 degrees Fahrenheit here at Daytona. It is going to be a barn burner. These cars are going to be very loose, very dancy in the corners. It's in the driver's hands from start to finish. Qualifying about to get underway, and with that comes the ability to sort of get up to speed with some of the new driver team combinations that are in play here. Looking at the car center of your screen at the moment, this is one of the cars that does not have the same driver. This is car number 5. For the first time this season, Gabriel Mauricio in the number 5. He won this race last season. He was in the car 40. He was in a Dodge last season. He's now moved to the number 500 car. Parker Alexander, who was in car 5, moved to car 8 to replace Dylan Roberts, who moved to the car 6. A lot of musical shares that shuffled around here. We'll see more of that. We'll point it out as we see more drivers throughout the broadcast here this afternoon, this evening. But Gabriel Mauricio trying to defend his Daytona 500 crown here in 2025. They've got one lap to run to figure out what they can do and where they're going to be seated for this race. Unlike the Winstel 400, which had the 3 days of pageantry, all of it comes down to this singular lap that they're running here this evening. Mauricio did not have a great qualifying performance last year when he won this race, hoping to have at least a little bit easier starting position because of how wild and chaotic this racetrack can be, especially when you look at the temperatures and just the combination of 43 cars. As I mentioned before, 56 drivers tried to qualify, 13 failed to do so. 13 open cars managed to get their way into the field here as Mauricio crosses the start-finish line. He'll be the first set of lap time. It is a 49.18, and it's immediately beaten by an open car, the 93 of Joshua Chen, with a 49.814, almost identical times down to the 10,000. He had to qualify his way in. He was one of the go-or-go-homers that had to go through pre-qualifying, and he's now on provisional pole, which is outstanding. Center of your screen, 42, Evan Locke. No, not Evan Locke, excuse me. Evan Locke's in a new car as well. That's the 42 of Brandon McKissick. McKissick starting his lap now. Evan Locke in the 2 car, staying with Dodge, but moved to Penske, away from Chip Ganassi Racing. Locke qualified 5th, provisionally. Christian Budd's gone top of the board. The time shuffling here, the top 3 all within 1,000th of a second. As you're right on board with McKissick here. He ran a partial schedule in 2024. Starting off this year in 2025, the 49 car center of your screen now as well. Once again, Andrew Griesbaum behind the wheel of that machine as he was in 2024. He'll return that car as well, one of the drivers that did not change seats in the 2025 campaign. Brandon McKissick went 23rd fastest. As more and more times get set up here, Mike Rasmus on a lap, or sitting ready to begin his lap time. Griesbaum completing his run. Another open car, Brandon Coppinger beginning his run. Craig Lautenschlager goes 21st fastest. Alex Bates now 33rd with his time. Evan Mellinson in 18th. Nick Doucette in 21st. Griesbaum goes 25th. With a few drivers left to run, Brandon Cruz goes 37th in car 20. Brandon Coppinger, the 66 car, middle of his run now. Open car, one of those that had to make it in from pre-qualifying. Did so with flying colors. I'll go over some of the drivers that were in different cars, or some of the open cars that had to get through pre-qualifying. Joshua Chin, we talked about him. Kirk Marble, Jeremy Davis, Evan Mellinson, Sam Brochu, Andrew Ratcliffe, Lucas Davila, who debuted in the Winstel 400 last year as Coppinger goes 33rd fastest. Leandro Moreira, TJ Crampton, Ryan Andrew, Andrew Reedy, and Jacob Potak were the 13 that advanced from pre-qualifying. Ryan Hill, Tom Willett, Andrew Trupiano, Riley Mirabello among those that failed to qualify for this race, as well as Hayden Repus, one of the veterans of the Winstel Cup campaign. He failed to qualify for Daytona this year. Same with Chris Bishop. Qualifying done and dusted here, and it's going to be a wild one. It will be Brennan McGee in car 9 on pole position. It is a Ray Evernham Motorsports front row lockout. Actually, excuse me, it is not a front row lockout. Philip Snipes still getting used to a lot of different changes. Philip Snipes was in the 19 last year. He's in the 97 for Roush this year. So Philip Snipes and Christian Budd now teammates. They're second and third now. Joshua Chen, the fastest open car, qualified fourth. Gabriel Mauricio, Jeremy Davis among your top 6 there. We'll go through the full starting grid of 43 cars here in a moment. Notable failures to qualify that they did not set a lap time, but were locked in. Emily Howe, Jose Solis Jr., Mike Rasmus, Roy Steinhauser, and Rory Collins. They were all locked in, so they could sit back and start at the back of the field and watch the opening laps play out here. As you see the qualifying results on your screen, as they were Parker Alexander, Christina Ryan, both of them in new cars this season. Kirk Marble in his same car. Jacob Potak in a new car as well. A lot of new faces and new rides throughout this field. Nick Doucette, not where he wants to start. He's in the mid-pack, 21st. Alongside Craig Lautenschlager, they stayed in place. Same with Steve Brown and Chris Champeau and Andrew Griesbaum. Sean Peleg, who loathes this style of racing, he qualified 31st, so he'll have to work from the back of the field alongside TJ Crampton. There's Brandon Coppinger, but then you also see some of the cars further back. Solis, Steinhauser, Collins. They all have to start from the very back of this field to get things ready to go. This is a driver's track. This is not the plate racing, 3 wide, keep it pinned type of racing that we see in the 6th or 7th gen cars. This is Gen 4. These are cars that have a ton of speed to them here in Daytona, and they're going to move around a lot. These are cars that like to dance around significantly. It will not be easy for them. These cars are not as fast as the Gen 6 car either. When we ran here for the Winstel 400 back in January, those cars were reaching about 200 miles an hour. These cars, even in a group, you're going to see them peak out at about 193. It's because of how the suspensions are in these cars and how bumpy this surface is that'll make them dance around quite a bit. The tire pressure is also going to skyrocket with this hot temperature. Again, almost 155 degrees, the track temperature. Well above the normal operating window for the Goodyear Eagles. See some drivers patching pit entry. I have a very interesting feeling we're not going to have green flag pit stops in this race just because of how much dancing around we've seen. You lose room quickly when you're in a group of 43 cars, and the mid-pack is going to be a landmine, a minefield once we get underway. Largest pack we see is on your screen right now, the 6 of Dylan Roberts. Championship contender with Dale Earnhardt Incorporated in 2024. Moving over to Roush Racing. See, trouble there. That was the 8 of Alexander and the 7 of Ryan Hill. Now looking for car pack here, the 95 and the 6 is what it came down to there. Let's see, the 6 of Dylan Roberts, the 77 of Jacob Potak, as you saw earlier. He's moved in to replace Davin Cornelius in that car to race in 2025. 95 machine is Rory Collins, who did not qualify for this event. Sorry, didn't qualify as a top 35 entry. He didn't fail to qualify. He elected to start from the back. We'll turn that up a little bit better. There were 13 cars that did fail to qualify. Rory Collins was locked in, so he didn't need to. So Dylan Roberts going to practice his pit entry. Same with the 77 of Potak. And you see a couple that got it wrong. That's the 42 of McKissick, and it's dodge on dodge violence there at pit entry, as Potak found a very heavy brake to come to a stop at the pit entry. Some cars leaving pit exit, and this is another challenge. There's Coppinger, the 66, figuring out the pit exit. It's just as bumpy, if not bumpier. If we do have those green flag pit stops, pit exit sometimes even more crucial than pit entry. And just like that, warm up and the last chance to dial things in is over. Now it's showtime here at Daytona, the 2005 Daytona 500. For those new to Winstel Cup racing, this is a throwback competition. All these cars replicating how they ran in the year of choice. This year being 2005, just like last year was 2004. So you're going to see a lot of very familiar paint schemes from throughout the year as they try to line all of that up. At the front of the field, it is Brennan McGee, who has run well here traditionally, just hasn't finished well at these races normally. He's alongside the 97 of Philip Snipes, former teammates no more, as Philip Snipes moved to Roush Racing. Christian Budd, the defending champion, defending Winstel 400 winner. He'll start third alongside the open car of Joshua Chin. Gabriel Mauricio in his new ride, the number 5 for Hendrick Motorsports, alongside Jeremy Davis, who replaces two-time champion Tyler Head. Jeremy Ratcliffe, now the replacement for Philip Snipes, also qualified well for Ray Heffernan Motorsports in 7th place alongside Evan Locke for Penske Racing. Ryan Hill in the number 7, he'll be in the top 10 alongside the 45 of Sam Brochu for Petty Enterprises. Another DEI car in 11th place. That's Parker Alexander alongside the Robert Yates Racing Machine of Christina Ryan, from the Aaron's Dream Machine to the UPS truck for the former ABN Open Wheel World Champion Kirk Marble and Jacob Potak, row 7 ahead of Anthony Krobach, staying in his 11 car alongside Austin Reedy in row 8. Dylan Roberts, 3rd in the championship last year. He'll try to do better than that. He's got to work from 17th on the grid alongside Evan Mellinson, who replaces Olivia Hayward in that 36 car. Leandro Moreira back in full-time competition in row number 10, ahead of Nick Doucette and Craig Lautenslager, Steve Brown and Chris Champeau in row 12. Andrew Griesbaum and Jonathan Hernandez, who won this race back in the summer last year. He's in row 13 in a brand new car, replacing Alex Bates at Hendrick Motorsports. Lucas De Villa for front row. In 27th, row 14 alongside Brandon McKissick. I had to check my math real quick. Larry Pace in the 09 was very impressive last year. We'll try to do so from 29th this year alongside Kyle Benson. Once again, they're in that Robert Yates Racing Ford. Sean Palick, 31st alongside TJ Crampton, who fills in the number 41 car for Zach Campbell. Brandon Coppinger, another open car, in 33rd alongside Tyler Murray. Alex Bates replacing Gabriel Mauricio there for Chip Ganassi Racing. We'll start alongside the 75 of Matt Sisler. Corey Cook and Brandon Cruz in row number 19. I had to kind of do my math there in my head. 19 for Corey Cook and Brandon Cruz. Brandon Cruz just setting a lap time to sort of put a benchmark in ahead of Emily Howe and Mike Rasmus, who are in row 20. Row 21, you look at the final 3 entries in this field. It's very simple. It's Jose Solis Jr. and Corey Steinhauser at the very back of the field. In a row by himself is Rory Collins in the 95. A new look for him after being in the 23 last year. But there's your 43 cars that are racing here in the Daytona 500. Again, 13 cars failed to qualify for this race. 43 made it in. These 43 have a chance to start off their season in the best way possible. How will they do it? We're going to find out here. The lights on the pace car are off, which means we're going green at the end of this lap. For everyone tuning in to the Winstel Cup Series season opener here in Daytona, welcome to ABN's coverage of Winstel Cup Series racing. From here to the season finale in the chase for the Winstel Cup. Brennan McGee. It's been so long since he's won a race in the Winstel Cup Series. A former Winstel 400 champion. Looking to break a very long winless drought. And the competition is not easy. Mauricio, for the defending winner of this very race, in 5th in car 5. In between those two, the defending champion, the winner of the Winstel 400 back in January, a driver that is odds-on favorite to go back-to-back for the championship in Christian Butt. Everyone else, there's 40 spoilers looking to start the party the right way. Welcome to the World Center of Racing. Welcome to Daytona. The pace car is off. And for the first time in 2025, we are racing in the Winstel Cup Series. The Daytona 500 is underway. Opening lap in the books here at Daytona. And it is Brennan McGee, top of the board, ahead of Christian Budd and Philip Snipes. McGee wins to the top side of the racetrack. You're going to see a lot of cars further on in this race prefer that top lane just because of how loose these cars are. It's a little bit more forgiving up near the wall. And the caution has come out. Huge crash further behind. Several cars involved. The 48 of Sean Peleg involved, among others. And the first caution comes out on lap 2. The first up to speed attempt through turn 1 does not help some drivers in this field. Leandro Moreira involved with a significant amount of damage. Alex Bates involved. And we'll grab a replay here momentarily. And that is the 39 on his own, that Navy Chevrolet. Leandro Moreira just losing it on his own. And you're gonna see he's fighting the car up the racetrack and it just gets loose. And he's in front of so many cars. He was exactly in the mid-pack range. And it's very easy how things can go wrong here at Daytona. And it's unfortunate for Moreira to be behind the 8 ball already at this point. TJ Crampton in the 41 for Chip Ganassi Racing coming in for emergency service. I would have to believe that not many cars from the front of the field would come down pit lane for service, only having really one at speed racing lap. as cars dial in. So some cars coming in, and you see some of the cars that have damage there. That's the 99 of Lautenschlager. There's the 49 that Griesbaum coming in as well. Emily Howell, who had to take evasive maneuvers and spun, also down pit lane. The 07 down pit lane as well. That's Tyler Murray in the 07. At the front of the field, it will be your defending champion, Christian Budd, out of the pole sitter. You see a very busy pit exit as cars return to the racing surface here at Daytona. We've already seen how quickly things can go wrong. Going to follow through and kind of do an update here on a couple of drivers. So Jacob Potek's in the 22. This is going to be very confusing for a couple races. So Jacob Potek's in the 22. He's in the Caterpillar Dodge. Austin Reedy is in the 77, just behind him. The similarities, at a glance, very similar. They're both yellow and red. Potek's car just has a little bit of black to it. And they're both in close proximity. So when I was reading, and obviously they're both double numbers too, 22 and 77. So a little bit of confusion there. So it is Austin Reedy in the 77, Jacob Potek in the 22. Both of them still in close proximity. Both of them in Dodges, but slightly different teams. Actually, I think they're both the same team. I believe both these are Bill Davis racing cars. I don't even think it's that far. Yeah, they are Bill Davis racing cars. Because Penske had the 2 and the 12. The 22 was not a Penske number, it was a Bill Davis number. So you can see how the confusion sets in. Single file restart, I believe, is what we're going with here. Just making sure that it is the case. And indeed it is. Lights out on the Ford Mustang GT pace car. Single file restarts, lap cars will be to the inside lane. We don't have any on the racetrack at the moment. So it'll be 41 cars on this restart. Following what appears to be the retirement of Leandro Moreira and TJ Crampton that are still on pit lane at this time, following the caution on lap 2 that affected multiple cars. Those two affected the hardest. Your top 5 as it sits: Christian Budd, Brennan McGee, Philip Snipes, Gabriel Mauricio, and then the rookie, Andrew Ratcliffe. Another rookie in the 93 of Joshua Chen. Had to qualify his way into the field. Qualified well to get here, qualified 4th. Still in the top 5, sitting 6th at the moment, just outside the top 5, ahead of Evan Locke, Jeremy Davis, and Sam Brochu and Ryan Hill. The pace car will take the left-hand turn off pit to pit lane. It'll be the defending champion that leads us to green. Green flag is in the air, and we are back underway. This time, single file. To try to get this party started the correct way. And once again, you'll see drivers have to get themselves up to speed quickly. Keep an eye on the 7 of Ryan Hill. He was quick to get in a hurry. There's the 5 of Mauricio being shuffled to the outside lane as well. That is by Ratcliffe. Car is shuffling to the outside lane. The 45 is moved up there as well. That's Sam Brochu. The 8 of Parker Alexander also moves to the outside lane. The outside lane becoming the busy lane, being led by the pole sitter, Brennan McGee. 3 and 4, not so treacherous compared to 1 and 2. That's where all the incidents have been in the lead up to this race. They'll be side by side. McGee trusting his former teammate, Philip Snipes. It is Evernham and Roush leading both the lanes at the moment. But they're crisscross. The 19's on the bottom, not helping the 9. The 97 unable to help the 17. Lap led that time by McGee. As they roll through turn 2 this time, no caution, we are good to go and still racing, although a little bit more spread out. Issues further back for the damaged Craig Lautenslager. He is already 10 seconds adrift and lingering. On board with Austin Reedy in the Kodak 77 for Bill Davis. To his inside, the ABN Open World Champion from 2022, Christina Ryan, who's had a very busy weekend from Watkins Glen to Daytona. 3 podiums in Watkins Glen for the VRR GT World Tour yesterday afternoon. Getting back down to Daytona to try to put that 88 car, that UPS machine, near the front of the field. Stuck right now on the inside lane. It is gridlock, except for at the front of the field where Christian Budd leads the way. Teammates side by side. The 19 of Ratcliffe now trying to charge to the front. The rookie looking for his chance to lead a lap in his debut race. Same with Joshua Chen, the 93, the 3rd Bill Davis car. Bill Davis Racing in a very strong position at the moment. Looking back from the roof of the champion. A little bit of oversteer, a little loose as that 7 Ryan Hill up near the wall. 60 laps, you do not have a lot of time to get things going here in the Winstel Cup Series. You have to start this race with a game plan and then follow it to the letter. So far, it's working out a little bit better for Christian Budd and for some of the rookies that qualified in the top 10. Christian Budd trying to control both lanes. He's got the support of McGee at the moment. Ratcliffe in 3rd. Trying to keep the outer lane as tight and as small as you possibly can. 45, got to keep an eye on Sam Brochu up almost into the fence, into the safer barrier. In turn 2, checked up the 22 of Jacob Potak. While Potak's teammate, Austin Reedy, has moved to the inside lane, decided to get out of the way. And here comes the 19 out of 4 with a chance at the race lead. Side by side. Who's got it this time? I think it's still Christian Budd, but it's going to be by a hair. It's actually Ratcliffe by 3 milliseconds. So Ratcliffe gets his first lap led on the bottom lane. Keep that in your memory, folks, as you're watching this race. That could be how this finish plays out. Bunch of cars under a blanket all the way down to Emily Howe. Emily Howe, the first one really kind of lingering back a little bit. Howe's in 29th, so the 28 in front of her all under a blanket at the moment as things sit. Outside lane getting a little bit more wobbly as these tires begin to give way under the intense heat. That's been a huge focal point, a huge talking point as Ratcliffe leads another lap in the 19 car. The 19 car did not lead many laps in the 2024 campaign with Philip Snipes behind the wheel. Led 17 laps total with Philip Snipes behind the wheel. None of them at super speedways. Almost trouble. That was Evan Locke trying to force the 3 wide and almost paid for it dearly. And that would have been a huge crash at the front of the field had to back it down. Evan Locke did not have a long time in the Daytona 500 last year. Crashed out extremely early after being involved in 3 accidents. Obviously, the turnaround for Evan Locke has led to him getting a ride in the number 2 car for Penske Racing. But a little bit of an old habit there for Evan Locke, trying to force a very big mistake early. Ended up thinking better of it because there was no space to make it happen. And Ratcliffe clears the defending champion at the front of the field. Joshua Chen now leads the inside lane. Christian Budd tried to get to the inside lane, tried to get in front of the 93. It did not work out. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow the 93 to have open real estate out of 4. No support for the 19 of Ratcliffe until now. And it's going to be enough for Ratcliffe to hold on to the race lead. But that could have nearly been the death of the outside lane. Car up in the fence just a little bit. That was 77 of Austin Reedy. We've had 1 caution. It came out on lap 2. It was for 3 laps. It's been green flag since. We are approaching lap 15. We have 41 cars running, 40 on the lead lap. The lap down car is that of the wounded Craig Lautenslager. The other 40 cars within 4 seconds of the race leader, as they all blare by on the digger cam. Or a little asphalt. Groundhog. Had to think for a second. It's been so long since I've seen an actual groundhog. Side by side still, going through 1 and 2. It is breaking up a little bit. These tires not where they want to be. When you think about the tire temperatures and the tire heat, track temp is insane. It is immense here at Daytona. You saw Brendan McGee drop to the bottom of the racetrack. At the bottom of the racetrack, you'll be able to control your temperatures a little bit easier on that bottom lane. Not quite as bumpy as the outer lane, as the outer groove. Here comes Joshua Chen. Can he lead his first lap in Winstel competition? Yes, he will, and it will be quite easily done for the 93. Evan Locke up to 2nd. Christian Budd, 3rd in line on the bottom, alongside the 19 of Ratcliffe. Car on the inside of the racetrack. That is not Lautenslager. That is Rory Collins, the 95. That just went a lap down as well. So 2 cars a lap down, but pit stops, they are coming. These tires are giving way massively. And we see pit stops coming in. Evan Locke, the 2. One of the cars getting ready to come down pit lane. Who all follows? The Penske Racing Miller Lite Dodge. Evan Locke decides not to come down this time. Looked like he was so keen on coming down pit lane. Ended up changing course. And no one came down that lap time ultimately. So we stay green and all of them stay on the racetrack. Roy Collins came down pit lane. Hernandez making the call to come down pit lane. Jonathan Hernandez. Hernandez in 37th at the moment, back of the field. And when coming down this time, Locke decides he's going to stay out again. He's kind of looking through the field here just to make sure. Yeah, Hernandez alone in that pit stop. And you see, especially the further back you look in the field, the more they're dancing around, but they also have the room to dance around the further back you go. Really crazy driving there. And that is the 38 of Kyle Benson that was up near the wall. And they're going to really be pressing the issue here. That is Benson in the 38. That is Potak in the 22. They are 3 wide out of 4. And the reason why, cars coming down pit lane, and others trying not to lose momentum. And somehow, some way, everyone that came down in that giant pack made it down safely with no penalties. Somehow, some way. That's over a dozen cars. Almost 16 cars that came down under a blanket together. And now it's Kyle Benson in the lead of the race. More cars about to come down pit lane, this time by. That's the 25 up top. That was the 25 of Jonathan Hernandez, who was without draft. Little sketchy this time. And that's going to be a missed pit stop. That's going to be a missed pit window for the 19 to 22. Unsafe pit entry for both of them. They could not stay out of the grass. And now those two will have penalties, as does Kyle Benson for speeding in pit lane. So a huge hit for them. Brandon McKissick now front and center leading this race with Emily Howe, Jeremy Davis, Brandon Coppinger, Jose Solis Jr., and others. Car coming down pit lane, that's the 4 of Davis. And Davis came down pit lane alone. So McKissick, Howe, Coppinger, top 3. Bates in 4th. And the number 40, that silver bullet. Peleg in the 48. Solis in the 29. Cruz in the 20. Rasmus and the Griesbaum make up your top 9 that have yet to come down pit lane under green. And you see the speed difference there, bottom of your screen. 6 miles an hour. McKissick really close there to causing an accident as he comes down pit lane. And a lot of lockup there, going to make sure he did not get a drive-through penalty for, or a stop and hold penalty for speeding. He did not, neither did Coppinger. So both of them made it in safely, as did Jose Solis Jr., so they're safe. Emily Howe, the 2023 Winstel 400 2024 Winstel 400 champion, now leads the way ahead of Alex Bates, Sean Peleg, Mike Rasmus, Brandon Cruz, and Andrew Griesbaum. Those 6 have yet to come down pit lane. Mike Erasmus in the Air and Stream Machine 00. As the top 6 all come in line astern together. Peleg just blew the pit entry. Big time blew the pit entry. The only one of the 6 to do so. So he will have a time penalty to serve for missing the commitment line. He missed out big time. This now will go to Ryan Andrew, who's going to be at the front of the field, but it is a hornet's nest at the front of the field. Ryan Andrew replacing Tyler Murray in the 33 as a rookie. Trying to hold off Mauricio, Locke, and Christina Ryan. Locke getting support from Ryan. Ryan Andrew covering both lanes. Evan Locke's gonna match that aggressiveness, goes right to the yellow line. With cars right in front of them. Griesbaum leaving pit lane now. That is the 19 of Ratcliffe and the 29 of Solis. Ratcliffe a lap down. Brandon Cruz merging from pit lane. Very tight confines when you're going at 195 miles an hour. Emily Howe and Alex Bates somehow stayed up all the way to this point. They're going to go 3 wide. Solis, known for his aggressiveness, will go to second place. It is still Ryan Andrew, the rookie, leading the way. Rookies have led a lot of this race so far in the first 23 laps completed. Now on lap 24 of 60. Dale Earnhardt Incorporated trying to have a mix in the fight. Excuse me, the 33 is a Richard Childress racing car, but the DEI cars are also in this mix too. Christina Ryan up to 4th, behind the defending race winner Gabriel Mauricio. Evan Locke moves up top as well. The 4 car is not a lap down. That's Jeremy Davis. He put on his own, and it worked out for him. Avoided the traffic that came with pitting in a group. We've seen the penalties that came from that. Only 1 car officially out, and that is Leandro Moreira. TJ Crampton, multiple laps down though, and still on pit lane. He ran a couple laps before ultimately just kind of calling it time. Actually, excuse me, Crampton just came back down pit lane, so he's still circulating. Solis at the front, trying to lead the way from 41st to 41st to 1st is where Jose Solis Jr.'s come from. He has found his way to the front. He is the biggest gainer without a doubt at this point. Action beginning to intensify here at Daytona. Christina Ryan trying to push Gabriel Mauricio to the front and clear, and that's exactly what happened. Mauricio clears Solis. Crampton officially retiring from this race. Car could not reach 4th gear, could not meet minimum speed. Christina Ryan trying to lead a lap here in the Daytona 500. Assistance from Ryan Andrew. And the 34 that we've not talked about a lot because he's not on the lead lap at the moment. That's Lucas Davila, the Argentinian, making his Winstel Cup Series debut. And in that 34, a lap down. The first car a lap down as it sits. Last car on the lead lap in the verge of going a lap down is Kyle Benson. Kyle Benson and Sean Peleg, both of them served a penalty for their first round of pit stops. So both of them behind the 8 ball here. Christina Ryan led that lap with ease as they approach lap cars coming up. Ryan Andrew making quick work of it. Shadowing lap down cars there. We'll peek to the outside lane and put the 48 and the 38 a lap down with the momentum that they're carrying right now. There's the 5 of Mauricio, his teammate, the 48, just ahead of him. The 19 of Ratcliffe, also not on the lead lap. And they're going to up in the wall. Caution has come out, and there we go. Spin car down low. That was Chris Champeau. And that was almost an absolute disaster. It started with contact between Davila and Mauricio, the Argentinian and the Brazilian, coming together in a South American clash. And Davila comes off worse for wear, and you see the damage on the 18 of Chris Champeau. Looks like Davila largely got away with that. Looking at the 34 car, not seeing a lot of damage on our end. If anything, just a flattened right side fender. But that's survivable for Davila. A little bit less so for Champeau, who took a wild ride to the infield. So here's a look at the replay. This is Davila center of your screen alongside with Mauricio, and that's just the car getting loose in the tri-oval. Looking at all of this here with Davila. So Davila, you see on the outside lane there, he gets loose on his own. And it's what leads him into contact with the 5. Yeah, that's the car that's getting loose in the tri-oval. Unfortunately, gets into contact with Mauricio there, who's drifting a little bit up the racetrack, trying to get air to the engine of that 5 car. But not a great time there. Davila luckily gets away with it. So Champeau in the 18 gets the worst ride of this. And we're going to see what this looks like. Everyone checks up. Everyone checks up. This is the 22 of Potak that just hip checks him a little bit. And then off the nose of McKissick. And doesn't hit the wall on the inside lane, thankfully. That would have probably been day done for Champeau. Instead, it's all just left rear quarter panel and fender damage there for the 18. And that's just a matter of you can't see so far. You can only see so far in front of you in these cars. On board with McKissick, the once upon a time race leader of this race, almost turned Christian Budd. And then from the 17 to the 18, way around you go, and Champeau goes for a pretty wild ride. Does a really good job of just keeping that car from doing anything more erratic, as Davila will have an EOL penalty. We'll restart this race from the back of the field for his cause in the second caution of the race, and this will allow everyone to come down pit lane. The issue is that we still have a guaranteed green flag pit stop with 29 laps to go. And with the second caution, I have a chance to actually take a second to actually take a sip of a drink and deal with a dry throat there, because it's been nonstop from start to finish since we went live here in Daytona. The Winstel Cup Series alive and well with the sound with 43 race cars to kick off the night. 2 cars out with Morera and Crampton officially done. We are going to have 38 cars on the lead lap. 3 cars a lap down. Steve Brown, Craig Lautenschlager, and Lucas Davila, who turns out has more damage going on in that 34 car, suspension damage on that. And he is actually out of this race. So they have just pulled that 34 car behind the wall for Front Row Motorsports. Davila's debut in the Winstel Cup Series cut short at 28 laps completed here in Daytona. That leaves us down to 40 cars. 2 cars a lap down, Steve Brown and Craig Lautenschlager. 38 cars on the lead lap. It is Philip Snipes, Ryan Andrew, Christina Ryan, Evan Locke, and Jose Solis Jr. at the front of the field. They are the ones that will lead the field to green on this restart. Some more cars coming down the top of the field. Brandon Coppinger, Matt Sisler, Larry Pace, Corey Steinhauser, Andrew Griesbaum, all of them coming back down pit lane, along with the lap down car of Steve Brown, who I believe is actually still in pit lane, has not moved. And that could be trouble for the 43 car, knocking one of the Petty Enterprises machines out of contention after the halfway point here. Wave rounds were given to those that stayed out, which included the 19 and the 22, so Ratcliffe and Potak. Gonna let them catch up at the back of the field and give us the 38 cars on the lead lap. And Snipes, who did not lead at this race in any circumstance in the 19 car, will lead here. So both the 19 and the 97 leading laps here, Philip Snipes. Eerie feeling, a little bit of an out-of-body experience for Philip Snipes to now not only be leading, but also see the car that he was in last year also lead this race at one point. And you see the cars rolling up on the inside lane, lap cars to the bottom. There will be 2 of them, excuse me, with Brown and Lautenschlager. So the lead lap cars will have to be careful navigating this restart. We did not on the first restart have any lap traffic. The cars that were out were definitively out with Morera and Crampton on pit lane. Not so much the case now as we come to complete lap 32 of the Daytona 500. Snipes, Andrew, Ryan, Locke, Solus, Bud, Chen, Davis, Mauricio, and Hal, your top 10. A lot of movers and shakers still left to be determined. The pace car is in, the green flag flies once again, and we're back underway in Daytona for the 500. Steve Brown up to speed, up to pace. Car fully repaired. And away we run. Off to the races we go. Keep an eye on Jose Solis Jr. Car in the middle with help from Joshua Chen. They're speaking the same love language, and that right now is aggression. Christina Ryan goes to the bottom to get around the rookie, Ryan Andrew. The UPS truck trying to get to the front of the field with help from Solis. Little loose to 97 of Snipes, and Snipes will come down pit lane. And that's going to leave Christina Ryan at the front of the field once again, leading in Daytona. It's Solis, it's Ryan, Chen, and Evan Locke, your top 5. But don't blink, the 5 and the 17 also in range. Mauricio and trouble, cautions out. Huge trouble. Parker Alexander still trying to save his car. But it is a huge mess further behind. Trouble for the 45, trouble for the 95. Huge issues. Philip Snipes came down pit lane at the right time. Brandon Coppinger, his first race in his Winstel Cup career, has come to a very abrupt stop. And that car is skewed to high heaven. 31 of Corey Cook. From the 0 to the 31, the bad luck is still the same. Broken suspension in that 31 car will be a very hard process. And some radio indicates that it's Kirk Marble, and you're seeing why. Marble turned Cook into turn 1. Oh my goodness. That's where Coppinger got his damage. So car up and over was a 66. On board with 31 of Cook. Behind the 24 of Nick Doucette. Turned around by the 16 of Marble. Hard hit for Corey Cook as well. That's where his suspension got broken. And obviously Coppinger, his car completely destroyed in that flip. On board, this is the 66 of Coppinger. Had to race his way into the field. On the bottom of the racetrack, tries to get out of the way. You see, he just loses control trying to get on the brakes, and you just can't do it in the corners like that, especially with how bumpy this racetrack is. It's so hard to do. The fact that that car's still running at all is insane. But he was able to make it back to pit lane. And I think we're going to take a look at it here. Yeah, this is a look at it from going into turn 1. Again, keep an eye. This is the 31, that orange and black singular wireless machine, and the National Guard 16 of Kirk Marble, where the contact starts, just ahead of the 07. And you see just right there, as slight as it touches, gets the 31 just a little bit loose. And then around he goes. And then hard hit for the 95 of Rory Collins as well, who's trying to stay out of that mess, as well as the 09. All of them in a less fortunate situation. We're going to ride on board here with Corey Steinhauser and see what his perspective was from the 55 camp. Started this race on the penultimate row and has already gained over 10 spots. And you're going to see him with an amazing avoidance. Really good job by the 22 of Potak as well. You saw the Caterpillar dodge off in the grass, doing some rally crossing. Went all the way to the inside lane here. We'll actually see if we got a camera on Potak. We do. 22 car for Bill Devious Racing. There's 55 of Steinhauser in that year 1 Chevrolet. And Potak from up near the wall, get all the way down to the grass. get down real low. That's what Potak did. And lives to fight another day. So here we go. Third caution of the race, and that's going to make things very interesting as we get down to it. Obviously, that caution is going to really affect some cars here. Roy Collins, to my surprise, Roy Collins is still running at this point. However, not so much can be said for Larry Pace, for Brandon Coppinger. Actually, they both came out on the racetrack as well. Pace just came back out. So did Coppinger. Also, see, put eyes on the 66 car as he leaves pit lane. Yeah, that car is still so skewed. That car is not in a great spot. Minimum speed is going to be hard to do for the 66. That car is still absolutely skewed. That is just rough for Coppinger. The fact that that car is still rolling is insane. 99 also damaged as well. That was from the opening lap crash. That was Lautenschlager you see just ahead. Corey Cook still in pit lane. And you see on board, this is on board the 66 of Coppinger at the moment. He's on a left turn. The orange stripe you see on the steering wheel, that is centerline steering wheel. It is pointed towards us right now. That is what he's having to do. He is turning right to turn left. Doc Hudson will be very proud, but this is a very bad car. And that's what it looks like at speed. It is a horrible looking race car. If Coppinger, he's got to go at least 23 more laps with a car that is more sideways than most amateur drift cars I've seen in the state of Ohio. This car is stanced and not correctly. And he's got to use the brakes too to slow up traffic. Oh dear. This is a run what you brung sort of event here. And he's a lap car, I think. No, he's not a lap car actually. He's on the lead lap. He's on the lead lap. Listen, this is a Coppinger. If he gets a top 20 in this race, it's going to be insane. We're going to find out. The green flag flies with Christina Ryan and Jose Solis Jr. leading the way. It's the UPS machine and the Goodwin Chevrolet leading us back to racing. And the radio is flying about the 66 car at the back of the field. The fact that it is still running is impressive. Here comes Andrew Chen to the middle of the racetrack. Christina Ryan's got to block all three lanes to hold on to this lead out of two. Solis left out to dry. No one helping the 29 at the moment. Christian Budd gets forced out wide by McGee. Christina goes to the bottom. Covers off Ryan. Back to the top to cover up Andrew Chen. You're going to start seeing more of this. People trying to figure out what they can get away with. Christina Ryan leads that lap. But will not lead much more than that. As they go three wide behind. Solis still stuck on the outside lane. Not getting help from the 17 of Christian Budd. Not getting help from Mauricio. Not getting help from McGee or Doucette. Ryan Andrew clears, goes to the top lane. Evan Locke now leading the inside lane ahead of Ryan Hill. That's the 2 and the 7. The Miller Lite, number 2, and the Haraz Casino, number 7. And keep it on the 77. That's Austin Reedy. Rolling towards the tri-oval here. It'll be Ryan Andrew that leads this lap. 3 wide though for second. And the 33 gives up the middle lane for a moment. Tried to get clear of the inside lane, does get clear of the inside lane, clears Evan Locke to go to the bottom. And he's going to try to play all 3 lanes. A couple of debutantes, Ryan Andrew and Joshua Chen, up here at the front of the field, showing their prowess, and that almost went wrong, but here we go. Coming to 20 laps to go. Car in the fence further behind. We stay green. 3 wide. Christina in the middle. Evan Locke, a leader in this race. New race leader with Evan Locke. And they are 3 by 3. Sorry, make that 3 by 4. I would hate to have to break the news to all the drivers here that there's still a pit stop to make in this race. They're not driving like it. Christina clear of Locke. Ryan Andrew almost clear of Christina. The 88 and the 33 side by side. Christina Ryan, one of the favorites here in the Winstel community. One of the favorites among ABN fans that watch week in, week out. Has had a wild week from racing in Sebring and going airborne to a triple podium yesterday at Watkins Glen, trying to look for a win of the biggest race of the season. It's a 3-wide fight though, because there's your defending winner of this race, Mauricio in the middle. And number 5, that Kellogg's Hendrick Chevrolet. McGee in 6th, middle inside. Outside lane's got some help now, thanks to Jose Solis Jr. getting behind Joshua Chen. The middle lane falling apart now. Mauricio had a little bit of contact with Lucas Davila, was concerned about damage on that number 5 machine. That car's a rocket ship right now. Would not be able to tell there was anything wrong with it. Here comes McGee on the inside lane. The Dodges lined up now, the 9 and the 2. Evernham and Penske on the bottom. Richard Childress racing the 33 up top with 33 and the 29. It's a lot in play here. Mauricio only won 1 race. It was this race last year. Jose Solis Jr. won 4, but was never a championship contender. Car in the fence, Potak, the 22. He drops back out of the way. We stay green. He's safe. You see that 22 car falling back. It is not safe at the front. Christina Ryan once again leads. Trouble for the behind. And that is the 38 of Kyle Benson that had to avoid the 66 of Coppinger. And Coppinger's been running the apron and just kind of running out of the way. And was almost in the way. Card in the fence. The 77 to the 45. And there's trouble. More trouble. That's Peleg involved. The 36 also involved, as well as the 77, the other Bill Davis racing car of Austin Reedy. But most of the trouble came from Evan Melanson, the 36, who really began the major contact there, and then Sean Peleg, who really had nowhere to go. Melanson replacing Olivia Hayward in the 36 car. Olivia did not have a great time in this race last year either, and that 36 car beginning the same way in 2025. We'll grab a replay here for you. This is all at speed, and this is all beginning up ahead of Melanson with the 77 and the 45. And you'll see them just get a little loose up ahead, and nothing the 36 can do when the 45 begins spinning down to the inside lane. Melanson tries locking it down, but that begins with the 77 tagging the wall. We'll have to take a double look here at the 77 and the 45 to see if the 77 got up in the fence on his own or if the 45 helped. And you can see right there, 77 was up in the fence on his own. I think McKissick kind of helped the 45 along there. We'll have to double check here. We're going to get a good look. This is through 1 and 2. The 77 of Austin Reedy up in the lane, up out there on his own. I think a little bit of neck code keeps the 45 up there by way of the nose of the 42. A little contact there for the 4 as well for his troubles. Kirk Marble with a lot of good avoidance there. By the time the rest of the field gets through turn 2, it's all straightened up and out of the way. This is on board the 45 of Sam Brochu. His rookie campaign has had a very interesting and climatic start. This is going into turn 1 behind the 77 of Austin Reedy. Reedy up in the fence, and unfortunately, once you're up there, can't do much to get out of it. Would be very interesting to see how much damage is actually on that 45 car. It looked like it was still pointed straight when it went rolling again. So it don't know how much. And you can see him shimmying the car back and forth, seeing if there's any damage on that left front with the suspension. The bodywork you can bend out. The suspension takes a lot more time. Here's the 4. Jeremy Davis replacing Tyler Head in the 4 car. Big shoes to fill. And he's locking up just a little bit. Kept it square though. Pretty easy to fix on the nose of that Chevrolet Monte Carlo. The bodywork, pretty easy to fix. Go just heave-ho at it with a hammer, with a mallet. Suspension work, a little bit more refined. You need a little bit more work to do. So that's the big question mark right now. Jeremy Davis, obviously not super concerned. He's out front. The field came down for pit stops there because the field at this point now is good to go to the finish for those that came down pit lane. Jeremy Davis, however, thinking big picture, if he can lead a lap, that's 5 bonus points. And you see the top 5, bottom of your screen. Davis, the rookie Jeremy Chen, Brendan McGee, Jose Solis Jr., and then you have the 19 of Andrew Ratcliffe. Nick Doucette, Ryan Andrew, Christian Budd, Brandon McKissick, and Christina Ryan. Rounding out your top 10 as we sit at the moment. Corey Cook is officially retired from this race as well, giving us 39 runners with less than 15 laps to go in regulation. Jeremy Davis stayed out as well, so he's going to restart this race at the front of the field with that damage. And that's where it gets a little bit more concerning if you are the 4 car. That is going to be a little bit of a parachute. It's going to add drag to the car. You want the nose of this car to be as angled downwards as possible. You want air to be just driven over the top of the car. When you have the front end bowed in and bowed up like that, it just creates a parasail at the front of the car. And I wonder if Davis doesn't know that. I wonder if he's not been told, because it is at the front of the field. I wonder if he hasn't been told that his nose is that way, because his car, suspension-wise, handling-wise, not at speed, will feel fine. He's just going to realize that the air is not going to be flowing over the car correctly when it gets up to speed, and you will feel it. And that's going to be where things get difficult. When you start feeling it, and you start feeling it bog down, and you start feeling it lift. That's when it gets a lot more complicated, and this is a car at a track that is already complicated enough. Riding on board with one of these several rookies that have been very impressive here on the high banks. Andrew Ratcliffe, teammates to Brendan McGee. And restarting in the top 5 in 5th. Behind one of the most aggressive drivers in the field in Jose Solis Jr., as well as his teammate Brendan McGee in 3rd, Joshua Chen in 2nd, and Jeremy Davis at the front. Pace car in pit lane, and the green flag flies once again. We're back underway with 13 laps to go in the Daytona 500. Do we have an underdog winner once again in the Daytona 500, or is it going to be one of the favorites? We're going to find out. Flag flying, and you see immediately drivers getting aggressive once more. The closer we get to the 5 to go signal, the more frantic it's going to be. Really, the fever pitch that we experience kind of hits 5 to go. Everyone just kind of building up to that still, building speed obviously on this restart. The 33 and the 93 almost turned each other. That would have been really ugly at the front of the field. With that, the 9 of McGee back out front. McGee and Solis on the outside, and you see the fever pitch begin to climb. 3 wide, 4 rows. Christina goes out the bottom. Christian Budd, the defending champion, up in the fence. Got put there by Doucette. There's Emily Howe just behind. The last 2 Winstel 400 champions. Nose to tail. Got to rebound quickly to get back up to speed. The 33 of Ryan Andrew at the front of the field, trying to block both lanes, being led by Joshua Chen and Jeremy Davis. Davis, despite the damage on that nose, still out at the front and leading a lane. He's got Christina Ryan for support, and they're going to put Ryan Andrew 3 wide, and he's going to have to wait for Jose Solis to get to him. Rolling through turns 1 and 2. 11 laps to go. Car out of the way. Car got loose. It's Mauricio that got loose out of 2. And he saved it. Really good job saving it. Steve Brown, the 43, on the apron, trying to get out of the way. He's a lap car. This is going to get very sketchy. Outside lanes got the numbers at the front of the field, but inside lanes got the momentum with Davis, Ryan, Ratcliffe, and McKissick. Outside lane is Shen, McGee, Doucette, Andrew, Solis trying to find a 3rd lane, trying to make a 3rd lane happen. Statistically speaking, for Jose Solis Jr., for being notably one of the most aggressive drivers in the series, caused 0 incidents in 2024. McGee goes to the bottom, trying to go to the front. Little contact between the 93 and the 9, little side drafting, a little physical there. But it's gonna help Shin out. Here comes Christina Ryan on the yellow line, but legal, because she didn't go below it. Put the 4-3 wide, and that's the sucker hole. The sucker hole is a bad place to be. Emily Howe gave Jeremy Davis the best break on the planet by letting him cycle into the top. David versus Goliath, outside versus inside lane. Coming to 8 laps to go. Side by side, the rookie Jeremy Chen trying to hold off a former Winstel 400 champion and Brendan McGee. As they sit side by side. Chen leads that lap. I am in awe right now just watching this field just begin to ramp up the aggression and intensity at a track that is already so difficult for these drivers right now. At a track where the track temperature right now is 154 degrees. These cars are not sticking to the racetrack, they are dancing on it. And what a wild dance we get to watch. 7 to go. Nick Doucette, he had an early exit in this race last year. He's going to get clear of McGee and go to the inside lane. He wants to win for car 24. Can he get the DuPont Chevrolet in victory lane at Daytona? Coppinger out of the way. As best he can anyway with that skewed race car. Remember, in 2005, it was the 24 in victory lane at Daytona. Trying to do it again. This time, it's Nick Doucette behind the wheel. Brandon McKee in the number 9 for Ray Everham Motorsports. Sitting second in line. You have Robert Yates Racing, number 88, of Christina Ryan, third in line on the bottom. 4 wide, further back, 4 wide, further back. Into turn 1, they cycled it through, and I believe that was Benson who tried to let out of it and ended up in the fence, but is going to keep it pointing in the right direction and is okay. The 77 was also in that. That was Austin Reedy. And it is all over the place here. We're coming to 5 laps to go. Try to make a mountain out of a molehill and make a mile out of an inch of real estate here on this racetrack. They are still side by side on the front straightaway. The outside lane has the momentum, has the ability. If you're going to make a pass, it's got to be there. Car in the fence, Ratcliffe. We're still good. He found real estate. He found free space. But that 19 car might have actually suspension damage with how hard he hit the outside wall. He got to the inside lane. He's safe. He's good. He's out of the way now. 3 wide. Oh, big bump there by Christina Ryan to Brendan McGee to get around the 24 at Doucette. If there's anyone that's going to counteract that outside lane, it's the 9 and the 88, and there's the 7 Ryan Hill, who is surprisingly under the radar at these super speedways. He is right in the mix. And McGee is going to lead 5 to go. We're now down to 4 to go. And McGee led that lap. Oh, this is going to be really intense. On board, Ryan Hill. Looking on the inside lane. That is Lake Lloyd to his left. Would like to keep it as far away as possible. Would not like to not get shit sent to that outside, to the inside lane. Here we go. 3 and 4. Little wobble on that outside lane. That's 33 of Ryan Andrew. 3 laps to go. 7.5 miles. Keep an eye a little bit further back. The 11, Anthony Krobach. He's made his way forward. Lap traffic up ahead. Ryan Hill forcing it middle 3. Forcing it middle 3. Christina Ryan on the inside lane. Car on the inside. Rory Collins stays out of the way. He's good. Ryan Hill thinking big picture. But Brendan McGee's got to run. Coming to 2 laps to go. Coming to 2 laps to go, and there goes Ryan Hill. Ryan Hill spins on the inside lane. We are still green with 2 to go, and we're not going to be. And here comes point of no return. We almost made it to regulation. We were a lap short, and it was Evan Locke that I think got turned to actually draw the caution. Ryan Hill got spun to the grass, and that was good. It was the exit of the tri-oval where Evan Locke got turned. And if you're lightheaded like we are, take a breath, because this may be your last chance before this race finishes. This is the replay. And this is where it all starts. This is Ryan Hill trying to clear himself on Christina Ryan. He gets checked up a little bit by McGee. Christina Ryan's still there right to the quarter panel. No one's going to lift at this point. And the traditional not clear radio message went up there. And you're going to see Evan Locke get turned a little bit. Ooh. Ryan Hill did rejoin the racetrack a little bit, but I believe Evan Locke got turned a little bit just to make sure. Yeah, he did get turned to the inside lane. 3 cars did. Because there's Christina Ryan as well. Oh, hard hit for Christina Ryan. Evan Locke. I believe that was the Ada Alexander too. It is the Ada Alexander. Parker Alexander also got a piece of that. This is from turn 1. Christina Ryan trying to keep it safe, trying to keep it safe, trying to keep it safe. Thankfully, that looks like it's flush on the nose and no suspension damage, so you can come down pit lane, get that fixed. It just, unfortunately, Christina Ryan's position on track is going to take a massive hit. And this is confirmed why the caution initially came out. The caution came out before Ryan Hill came up the racetrack. So pit stops and fresh tires are going to be important for some of these drivers. Joshua Chen, the first of those at the front of the field, will come down pit lane for fresh tires. Some more of the cars involved in that incident. Ryan Hill, who went for a spin. Parker Alexander. There's the 09 as well coming down pit lane. And others. 09 Larry Pace. The 07, the Jack Daniels Chevrolet of Tyler Murray. Chance for them to work on the 66 car a little bit more. He's still running here. Christina Ryan making it back around with work to do on that 88 for Robert Yates Racing, that UPS truck who has been up at the front so much of this race. We'll have to be at the back of the field here. Davis on pit lane still. Tyler Murray, Craig Lautenschlager, Brandon Coppinger. Christina Ryan, to her credit, not coming down pit lane again. So whatever the car is like at this point, they're sticking with it in the 88 camp. See where things fall. This is going to be an important time. We're going to cover this now for you because this is going to be traditional Winstel rules. You get one green, white, checkered attempt. This is called the point of no return. 2 laps under green. There are no cautions beyond this point. It's called the point of no return because there's just simply no cautions. Whatever happens at this point will be policed after the race. It can be a lawless land with lesser fields. This Winstel Cup field, though, has put on clinics in this situation. This is a pressure cooker environment. It will get physical. It will be a messy finish being in this environment just because you do have 2 laps and this is the last really big reset for these drivers to make up positions. Do have to remind you, this is not like other series we've broadcasted where there's a playoff format and it's a win-your-in system. It is not. It is a chase system. Most points in the top 10 get you in. There's 16 regular season races. It's not the end of the world if something bad happens in race 1. So it's not the do or die that you see sometimes in other series. That being said, these are some of the best on iRacing for this style of racing. There's a reason there were 56 drivers trying to make this race and 13 had to go home. Single file restart. Once the green flag flies, that's it. You got 2 laps to make magic happen and go for a win in the Daytona 500. Brendan McGee is in inarguably the worst position on the planet. He is the leader for this race. Coming to this final restart. Ryan Andrew, Catbird C. Can say the same thing for Nick Doucette and Jose Solis Jr., 3rd and 4th. 5th place, Brandon McKissick. Not far from distance either. And then you see some of the outliers that have been under the radar most of this race. You look at the 11 of Krobach, the 15 of Emily Howe. Never count out that Napa, number 15. Mike Rasmus, Evan Locke, Dylan Roberts, your top 10. Your defending winner, Mauricio, in 11. Running on board with McKissick, the 42 for Chip Ganassi Racing. Starting in first gear. Green flag flies. This is the point of no return. Let's bring it home. And immediately McGee got left out for dry. But do you look at the outside lane? No one went up there immediately. It took a second for everyone to realize where they were at. McKissick goes top. Cuts off the 11 of Krobach. And now the field's back and forth on where do you go? McKissick trying to go back and forth, trying to just jockey between lanes. Emily Howe closes the door up to the top 5 already. There's the 00. That's Mike Rasmus. Mauricio in touching distance as well. Eight cars under a blanket. Make that 12. Out of turn 4. This is the moment we've been waiting for. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go in Daytona. Who is winning the Daytona 500? McGee. Andrew Ryan. They lead the way. There's a crash behind. It is the point of no return, so we're going to keep it green. Keep racing to the finish. McGee's clear of Ryan. Ryan Andrew cleared by McGee. Solis pushing the 9. The winless drought on the line for McGee. What are we going to see? Emily Howe loose behind. They are all over the place. Out of 4. Out of 4 for the final time. It is nightmare fuel at the front of the field. 3 wide for the finish. 4 wide. And who got it? Who got it? Brendan McGee. Brendan McGee wins the Daytona 500. A 4 wide finish. And they're crashing still in turn 1. Brendan McGee over Ryan Andrew, the rookie, over Emily Howe and Dylan Roberts. Jose Solis Jr. rounds out your top 5. And Brendan McGee owes Solis a huge round of applause, a 12-pack of beer, whatever Solis wants at this point. McGee wins the 500. McKissick, Nick Doucette, Jonathan Hernandez, Evan Locke, and Ryan Hill, your top 10. All eyes, though, on the 9 of Brendan McGee, a 4 wide photo finish here in Daytona. Breaks the winless drought for Brendan McGee and Ray Abraham Motorsports. It finally happened for Brendan McGee. And he gets to celebrate a damaged race car, but a race car that is a winner at Daytona nonetheless, and that is one of the sweetest things. Brendan McGee, your race winner, to kick off the 2025 Winstel Cup Series season. Over the moon right now. A lot to unpack there. Those final 2 laps were absolutely insane. We will also talk to our podium finishers here with McGee, with Ryan Andrew, and Emily Howe. I've got it. Now I'm lightheaded. That was insane. Absolutely crazy stuff here at Daytona. We're going to grab a replay here, let the drivers sort of compartmentalize themselves before we talk to them here, because they're going to be running at 1,000,000 miles a minute like we were. This was absolutely insane. This was the run to the finish that was just absolutely haywire. The 32 of Solis below the yellow line, would have to see the validity of that. But look at this 4 wide finish. Dylan Roberts almost got right there to it. Ends up in 4th place, the last one into the 4 wide situation. And see if we can go back a frame. Very close there. Emily Howe, middle 3 wide, ends up being 3rd. Dylan Roberts, brand new ride, racing now for Roush Racing, ends up in 4th. This is Emily Howe's onboard. Door to door, bumper to bumper, wheel to wheel at 190 miles an hour. And the crashing begins from there. absolute calamity here at Daytona. We'll go through the full running order after we talk to our drivers here that finished 1, 2, and 3. Emily Howe, once again, the run in Daytona, second place in the Winstel 400 earlier this year, ends up finishing this race today in third. We'll speak with her first here for our interviews to begin. Emily, this is Carmen from the Avian booth. You got a copy?
Hello again. 2 days in a row.
Yeah, it's been a wild time this weekend. Obviously, race winner yesterday at Watkins Glen for the VRR GT World Tour. But more importantly, once again, on the podium, finishing second in the Winstel 400 earlier this year, and now finishing third in one of the wildest finishes at Daytona I have seen in quite some time. Walk us through it, because you did not have an easy start. You started 39th in this race and had to climb from the field through the start. Walk us through, obviously, that adventure, and then obviously being middle, 3 wide, not sure if you're going to make it to the other side.
Well, yeah, I didn't really have much of a plan this race. I wanted to start in the back and just kind of avoid the chaos early on, because I knew the setup was really loose, it was hard to hang on to, and I didn't want to be in a wreck. So kind of just started from the back, saved fuel, and kind of was ahead of the strategy the whole time there with extra fuel and kind of able to gain spots that way. And then with the final about 10, 15 laps was good on fuel there, so I was able to really race my way up to the front. And then on that last restart, I saw my C-Fix buddies, Brennan and Jose, so, I went and helped them out, and off of 2, there was just a gap for me. I got up there, and just kind of made it work come to the line.
It was a wild time. Obviously, you talk about starting in the back, trying to avoid the melee. You almost got caught up in a couple of them, especially that lap 2 accident there, as everyone sort of came together. You usually find a way to make it through these accidents. You talk about finding friends and working with them here. When you get to the point where we're at the point of no return, the friends are wherever you find them. What is the thought process there? Because you've got to come from outside the top 10 to get into the top 10 to just have a chance at it, and everything falls apart almost immediately once we get through turn 2. Talk to us especially about the difficulty getting the car to fire back up on the restarts, because it seemed like once the cars got slowed down for a caution and they had to get fired back up, it seemed like it was a completely different challenge, especially on those short runs.
Yeah, we have the 500-pound weight penalty in the cars this week to try to make them tougher to handle, so they were really, really slow to get up to speed. And so if you missed a shift or didn't go on the restart, it was really pretty much lights out for you. So heading into turn 1, I just saw that gap on the bottom with Jose and Brennan lined up, and I knew my best shot to win was to push both of those two up forward. I really wasn't worried about the win until I came off of turn 4. I was committed to pushing Andrew there, or Ryan Andrew there off of 2 and in the front straightaway. I just kind of wanted to have that top 5 to start the season off well. But then, as we get off of turn 4, there's that big hole. It's like, well, you know what? What opportunity presents itself, kind of have to take it. But good start for Napa team this year. Wish we could have gotten, that extra inch, but how to bring it home third and get the Napa guys a good start to the season with the Eries.
Absolutely fantastic start to the season. A third place finish and a phenomenal photo finish. Obviously, the season now kicks off officially here, and we move on from Daytona. And we won't get to see Daytona again until the summertime. Walk us through sort of getting ready for this run of the season. You made the chase last year, but it seemed like there was just something that was off on the 15 team. Obviously, new teammates, new people to work with going on this season. Walk us through just the energy to sort of get in and try to get one of these early race wins and cover what was missing in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, in the offseason, we switched teams around, so I'm in pretty much the 8 car from last season. We switched crew chiefs, switched equipment. We brought on Parker Alexander to fill the role vacated by Dylan Roberts. So a lot of energy here at DEI, hopeful for the season. And then with the fact that we're not getting the new Gen 4 until the June build, it kind of puts us in kind of a good footing to where we kind of know what to expect heading into these first, 6-7 races of the season before we get that new car to have the wild card. So heading off to next week, the Auto Club, a track I like a lot, so should hopefully be up at the front.
Absolutely fun. Next race is coming up here, Fontana and Las Vegas. Before we let you go, let you obviously celebrate a big time result here, kick off the new Winstel season. If there's anyone to shout out and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Emily, always fun watching the 15 car slide through the field. We got a bunch of that today. The floor is yours.
I just want to thank everyone behind the scenes at ABN for putting this all together. Everyone behind the scenes at Winstel, Christian Budd, Brennan McGee, everyone who signed up this year, all the fans at home who watch, and all our great partners who I haven't mentioned yet. Looking forward to a good season this year. You can catch it all on ABN.
Absolutely, it's going to be fun carrying flag-to-flag coverage of the Winstel Cup Series from Daytona to Atlanta at the end of the season. Emily, enjoy the podium. We'll be seeing you again next week at Fontana.
Thanks. Bye.
That was Emily Howell, driver of the 15 Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, finishing third here today. We'll move on to car 33, the Richard Childress Racing number 33 of Ryan Andrew, debutant who had a lot of experience racing at the front of the field, moving the lanes, running through the lanes, moving back and forth. Ryan, this is Carmen from the ABN booth. Do you got a copy?
I got you guys.
A wild race for you. Obviously, your first Winstel Cup Series event with this group, and you look like a natural in that 33 car up at the front of the field, getting to the front of the field, running through pit cycles. Walk us through that 33 car and just being at the front and watching 43 cars jostle behind you.
Yeah, that race was awesome. The 33 handled really well. RCR doing a great job with the car, ECR engines. Just put us up front on pit strategy, picking 2 tires, and then that caution kind of fell at the right time, and we kind of just stayed up there the rest of the race. Just tried not to get into any accidents with anyone, try not to hit the wall. Just staying up front was my main goal, and it worked out.
Obviously, it worked out really well for you here. We heard a lot going into this race about how much of a handful this car was. A 33 car. It looked like one of the few that could run anywhere you wanted to put it there, and that was certainly the case, especially at the end where you had to try to defend and hold on to the race win. Ended up in that 4-wide situation, but walk us through sort of the complexities that you were going through in this race. 155 degrees the track temp at its peak. These tires were a handful, these cars were a handful, this field when it coming at you at full speed is a handful. How did you handle it for so well for so long, to not only stay out of the bedlam that happened behind you, but to keep in that position? You talk about the pit strategy getting you up there. It's one thing to get up there, it's another one to stay up there. What was the complexity like for you getting to that point?
Yeah, I really liked running on the high line for the majority of the race. I felt like it had more grip in it. The bottom had a bunch of bumps, and you kind of get the air off the cars on the outside that will suck you around there. So I really didn't like going down there, and I thought that I would just end up getting trapped down there if I did go down there. So I tried to stay on the top lane as much as possible. And a couple times I got hung out, but I was able to recover nicely. And just off the turn 4 there on the final lap, the 2 cars, the 9 and the 29, kind of went low off the corner like they got loose or something. And that just left that big hole for the 15 to fill. I feel like if I could have jumped down in front of the 15, I would have had a better shot, but still really happy with second place.
A lot of reasons to be happy with a second place here for your first race in Winstel Cup Series competition. And the breaks don't come anytime soon. It's Fontana next week for you. For a lot of people, you're a new commodity here, but we saw a lot of impressive things from you and a couple other rookies in this field. For you, looking at the counter, looking at Fontana, looking at Vegas after that, are we going to see more of this 33 car, this Trucker Boats, Bass Pro Shops Chevrolet at the front of the field when you go from the plate tracks to more of these intermediates?
Yeah, I hope so. I'm a big fan of California and Las Vegas, so I would hope to do good there, and should be a really good opportunity for me.
Absolutely a fantastic job here for the car 33 here in Daytona. Debut for Ryan Andrew. Before we let you go and let you celebrate the podium and get ready for Auto Club in 7 days' time, as is tradition, if there's anyone to shout out and say thank you to, the floor is yours. A phenomenal drive and an impressive debut here in Winstel.
Yeah, first I wanted to thank the broadcast. I'll definitely go back and watch after we're done here. It looked like it would have been an awesome finish on the broadcast. I didn't even realize that we were 4 wide coming to the line, but I just think that that's really awesome. Got to thank everyone in the field too. I mean, we did a pretty good job. Had some green flag pit stops, 1 green flag pit stop, I think. And we kept it clean for the most part, especially up front, and just raced it out to the end. So also want to thank Ancient World Gaming and Next Level Racing, Glitch Energy, and Sword Dog for being amazing partners. And my spotter, Troy Barta, for piloting me through that.
Yeah, your spotter did a fantastic job today, absolutely, here in Daytona. Ryan, we'll see you obviously in Fontana in 7 days' time. Enjoy the podium, and we hope to see more of you coming up in the future, and hopefully a lot more interviews.
Thank you.
That was Ryan Andrew, the second place finisher for Richard Childress Racing in the 33 car. But now it's time to talk to the main attraction of the night, the driver whose winless streak is broken, and it's happening here at Daytona. Brandon McGee for Ray Evernham Motorsports, back in victory lane. New season, new start, and it's a fantastic place to be. Walk us through it. Walk us through the emotions you felt going across the line there, because that was electrifying.
I don't know if you could hear me over race control, but I screamed. I have not been this happy to get a win in so long. I've calmed down now, but I was actually shaking at the end. I don't think I've had the shakes over a sim racing race in years. I actually had them, and I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe I won that. Still don't know how I did, and I'm going to take that win. That was awesome. 4 wide at the line, door banging. That was just great. And then I started on pole and somehow came out with the win. Starting first and finishing first at Daytona, no easy task.
Yeah, obviously no easy task, and it wasn't straightforward for those that watched from flag to flag, all 60 laps there. Well, really all 60 plus laps there for you. Walk us through it. New teammate. You ended up working with your old teammate a lot, worked with Phil Snipes for a lot of the opening portion of that race. But those Dodges looked good. It wasn't just the Evernham Dodges. It was the Bill Davis Dodges. It was the Penske Dodges. They all looked really good running in the field together, and they were all up front at periods of time tonight. We didn't see that a lot last year. Have the Dodges improved for y'all going into this race? We know there's a refresh for these cars coming up here later on in the year. Has everyone in the Dodge camp sort of gotten to terms with it? And if so, what was the big change to get the season started in the right direction? Because almost none of them finished last year in this race.
I don't know, but I had the horsepower tonight. My teammate was looking good. He went up there and led some laps, brand new teammate. I still worked with Phil, of course, but when it comes to Daytona, and especially you're going to run with the people that you know and trust, of course. At the end, if you look around at who was there at the end, it was me, it was Jose, it was Emily, there was Dylan, there was McKissick, there was Nicholas Doucette. There's a lot of the big names in Winstel that you would expect to be there at the end of a plate race. And you had Andrew up there. He did really well all night. He was able to control the lanes. Josh Chin, he was another driver that did very good all night, but unfortunately got marred by his fuel. He took a gallon less than the rest of the field and had to pit for the green-white checkered. Otherwise, I think it would have been him and myself there battling door to door at the end. But man, I just can't believe I won. I'm so happy I won. First time I'm ever going to be the points leader in this league, period. So I'll take it for the 1 week that I get to stay up there. I might have led the most laps tonight, too. It's hard to tell. I had one strategy tonight. I said, if I'm up front, I'm going to do my best to stay there. If I fall towards the back, I'm going to go to the back and avoid a couple of crashes. But glad I stuck with my gut and stayed up front and raced my heart out every single lap tonight. The only time I made not of was after that first pit stop when I was just trying to save a little bit of fuel. Otherwise, I was going 100%, 110% all night long, and it paid off. This was not an easy car to drive. We bought a brand new setup from the ground up this year to make it as hard to drive as possible at this track, to kind of put a bit more challenge at the driver's hands, and it sure paid off for me, and I think a lot of other drivers had a lot of fun. Drivers were able to pass quite easily tonight compared to previous years.
Yeah, that was a big noticing, is that it was a lot easier to pass, and a lot of things changed compared to last year that worked out. Going forward, obviously you've got a win at Daytona. The winless route is broken up here and it's free. Does that give a little bit more confidence based on how the season has started, that you're going to be able to stay on the right foot here for the next couple races with Fontana and Vegas coming up? Those tracks, difficult on their own right, difficult for their own ways. that 9 car already looking miles better than it did last year. Is that the sentiment going into Fontana next week, that 9 car maybe has something special to it?
I don't know. We'll see. I'm not the best at Auto Club, and I'm probably not going to, well, I don't know if I'll get a whole lot of practice next week because I may not be able to get here too much before qualifying. Vegas, I do enjoy. So, like I said, I did enjoy Auto Club, but Vegas, I feel like I'm semi-okay at. I don't know what it is, but there's a certain group of drivers that seem to have a knack at super speedway racing. And for some reason, I just happen to be one of those. And next time you'll probably see me truly competing for a win will be the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. And by then, we'll also have the new Generation 4 cars, which we're very much looking forward to in this league. Very excited for those. So hopefully they turn out to be pretty good. And the super speedway bodies, let's hope we get new draft model as well, because that racing you saw tonight will be even more intense for the night race in the summer.
We're all looking forward to it. We're looking forward to the entire season from Daytona all the way to Atlanta at the end of the season. Before we let you go and fully celebrate your race win here in Daytona, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. A lot of fun watching that number 9 Dodge get to the front of the field and stay there at the end. And part of that magical photo finish there at the end, that 4 wide. Take it away.
Yeah, that was a wild 4 wide finish, but to thank everybody, the drivers, of course, because if we didn't have the drivers, we wouldn't be able to have a race. Thank you to you guys for being on the broadcast booth now for the second year in a row. Yep. So that's awesome to have. It was great last year, and then, of course, you've done 2 Winstel 400s. It's always been fun having you guys every single week. Big thank you to Emily, who puts time in as well to make the setups every single week, and to the drivers that come out and test for that, because that's an extra hour or 2 of our week that people put in for free just to help us out, just so we can have a good setup every week. Big thank you to Bud, of course. He does a lot of back-end work as well, and of course he puts in a lot of his own money into this league. Huge thank you to anybody that's donated big sums, like Ken Huff, Breda Bonsavice, and even the ones that have only donated a few dollars. That really makes the difference. This league is completely out of pocket, minus donations and the few dollars that we get from the entry fee to be able to make this happen every single week. And big thank you to the admins, Bates, Bill, Parker, Tyler. Of course, Tyler made the ticker, then the rest of the admins do a ton of back-end work as well, so we all work very well together as a team, and everything just kind of seems to mesh together each weekend and seems to put out a good product for the drivers and, of course, the fans watching at home.
Absolutely a fantastic job here. We get to see you again in Fontana in just 7 days' time. Brennan, enjoy the race win, celebrate it, and we'll see you obviously next week in California. Congratulations.
Awesome, thank you.
That was Brennan McGee, your race winner in the Daytona 500. He kicks off the year, he kicks off the season with a race win in phenomenal style here at Daytona. A phenomenal run. 56 cars tried to make this race, 43 got to. Brennan McGee gets to call himself the fastest of the bunch here at the World Center of Racing in Daytona. And you see him on the replay begin to burn it down here on the Tri-Oval. We'll go over the results here on your screen in just a moment. This is your top 10. Brandon McGee, Ryan Andrew, Emily Howell, Dylan Roberts, Jose Solis Jr., Brandon McKissick, and Nick Doucette, your top 7. Jonathan Hernandez ended up getting into the top 8, so Hendrick Motorsports recovered a decent day for 2 of their cars. Evan Locke in the top 9. Another Dodge, 3 Dodges in the top 10 there. Ryan Hill ended up in the 10th spot after a wild day for him. Joshua Chen, fastest of those that had to race their way in, led some laps, ended up 11th place in the 93 car ahead of Gabriel Mauricio, who could not go and defend his win from last season. The defending champion, Christian Budd, not where he wanted to be either, 13th at the finish ahead of Evan Mellinson. Brandon Cruz, Parker Alexander, Larry Pace, Tyler Murray, Corey Steinhauser, and Anthony Krobach, your top 20 here from Daytona. Matt Sisler, Andrew Griesbaum, and Andrew Ratcliffe, your top 23 ahead of Kirk Marble, Mike Rasmussen, the 00, Chris Champeau, Austin Reedy, Sam Brochu, Alex Bates, and Jacob Potak, your top 30. A lot of these cars, a very unlucky circumstance at the end of this race. They're on the back foot going into Fontana in 7 days' time. Further on down, even more bad fortune for Sean Peleg. 2 incidents, none of his doing. Cars just kind of spinning in front of him and damaging his 48 machine. Kyle Benson spent a lot of time up getting very comfy with the safer barrier. Unfortunately, just not where he wanted to be in that 32nd position. Philip Snipes was up front early, got spun once, and never made it back to the front. Jeremy Davis, same situation. Once he got damage to the nose of that car, it was kind of curtains for that 4 machine. Christina Ryan, similar situation. Had to get repairs done late in the race, just couldn't find the ability to move back to the field. 35th for her in what she called her best plate race in Winstel Cup Series competition for her, although the result will not show it. Steve Brown, 36th, ahead of Rory Collins. Brandon Coppinger did take the finish in that 66 car that was skewed to the side. Did finish, he was laps down, but didn't finish last as an open car. The guts and the resilience, very impressive from the 66 camp. We hope to see more of that from that team in Fontana in 7 days' time. Craig Lautenslager, Corey Cook, they round out your top 40. Both of them multiple laps down. Corey Cook, the first retirement officially in this race. Lucas Davila, TJ Crampton, and Leandro Moreira, the following 3 drivers. Leandro Moreira, the first retirement of this race after having only completed 2 laps in this race. Brennan McGee gets to shake off the winless drought and enter Fontana in 7 days' time as your points leader in the Winstel Cup Series standings. Very unusual territory for the Dodge, but the Hemis, they got the win here in Daytona. You wait to see if they can do it again in 7 days' time at Auto Club Speedway, California. We'll be live again next Sunday. There's a lot of stuff going on between now and then. We'll be live next Sunday right here for race 2. On Saturday, March 8th, it is the Platinum Endurance Championship, the 8 hours of Germany from the Nürburgring. We hope you join us there for that too. That's going to be on our YouTube channel here at AVN Studios. There's also the AVN Champ Car World Series on Wednesday from Homestead Miami Speedway. Yeah, we're staying in Florida again for another 3 days. It's going to be a lot of fun though. We hope you join us here on Twitch and on YouTube for all of that action. We're back in full swing. On behalf of everyone here for Winstel, for the Winstel Cup Series, everyone here at AVN Studios, the person, the wonderful magician behind the camera, Anity Pulsatrix, I'm Carmen Sienna. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. Have a great week. We'll see you in Miami on Wednesday. So long, everybody.